Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You're very welcome to the 7th annual Western Australia Irish Famine Commemoration, and it's been held on Sunday the 19th of May 2024, the third Sunday in May, which is the day designated by the Irish government as World Famine Commemoration Day. This event commemorates the men, women and children who came out to Western Australia to escape the horrors of the famine on Gorta Mór. Before I start, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land we are meeting on, the Wajab Noongar people, and pay my respects to their continuing culture and the contribution they make to the life of this city and this region. This event takes place every year through the hard work of the Western Australia Irish Famine Committee, and the members of this committee are Fred Ray, Vince Gallagher, Tom Murphy, Jim Egan, Sean McDonough and Peter McKenna, and we thank them for their contribution. I'd also like to take the opportunity to acknowledge our special guests who are here today. Alana Clohessy, MLC, President of the Legislative Council of Western Australia, Mr. Gary Kosovich, Deputy Mayor of Subiaco, Heather Henderson and Tony Costa, former mayors of the City of Subiaco, Mr. Alan O'Mara, President, Irish Club of Western Australia, Heather Deehan, Chairperson, the Australian Irish Heritage Association, Olivia Duffy, the current Perth Rose of Tralee, and all the contestants for the Rose of Tralee who are here with us today. And I'd also like to welcome any other members of the other Irish community organisations in Perth. You're all most welcome. I also like to acknowledge the people who are involved in the maintenance of this beautiful memorial over here to my left. Joan Walsh-Smith and Charles Smith, who are the sculptors, and they send their apologies that they cannot be with us today. But the man who's responsible for the continuing maintenance and continuing to keep the memorial in such a fantastic state and vision that it is today is Mr. Frank Smith, and Frank is over there. So we'd like to give him a round of applause for all his work. And I'd also like just to acknowledge that we received apologies from Minister Stephen Dawson, MLC, and Mr. Laurie Smith, who is the chairperson of the Catalfa Festival. So, without further ado, we'd like to start the event, and the event will commence with a reading of the Famine Prayer by Diane Baker, followed by Fiona Ray, who will sing The Leaving.
In memory of those who died in the Irish famine, grant eternal rest to them. As we remember them, let us never forget those who continue to die of hunger in the world today. We remember those who were forced to leave our country in search of food and security. Open our hearts to those who come to our land in need. To those who experience hunger, give food. To those of us who have food, grant a hunger for justice.
She looks upon the sea, falls heavy to her knees. They're gone on the tide, they're gone from me. The ground beneath her feet starts breaking underneath. They're gone on the sea, they're gone. No, her heart is broken. No, her belly open. No, with all her heart she screams. They took my girls from me. Please wipe away your tears. I'm gone on the tide, I'm gone. There's a land beyond the shore where the growls of hunger will never roar, and the screams of the workhouse far behind me. I home, and we'll speak your name. And my girls, they'll sing your songs, and they'll grow up strong, and they'll know your name. And oh, we'll dream of home, we'll sing of home, we'll speak your name. And my girls, they'll sing your song, and we'll grow up strong, and we'll know your name.
Thank you for that, Diane and Fiona. That was lovely. We're now going to have a couple of words from Jim Egan and Caroline Smith. Before I call Jim up, I just to give some background on Caroline. Caroline is a journalist and historian who was born in Northern Ireland and came to Australia at the age of 6. She's been writing for the Irish scene for nearly 10 years, and last year she completed a thesis in Italian contemporary history. And Caroline's going to talk about some work she's doing regarding the history of the bride ships and that come over to Western Australia. But before that, I'd like to call on Jim Egan.
What I'm going to say is, just to give you an idea, before I start, I'd like to thank Subiaco Council for giving us this space here many years ago. I think it was 2016, we started having an idea about the West Australian Irish Famine Commemoration, WAIFC. So the mission was to check and look back on people and the sadness of what happened in the famine of 1845 to 1850, and to raise, and the other idea we wanted to do is to raise the West Australian awareness to the 130 girls who were assisted in their immigration to Western Australia. They arrived in 1853, and with their influential role, these Irish women provided in the establishment of the Swan River Colony of Western Australia. The estimated population of Perth at that time was nearly 2,000. Fremantle was nearly 2,000. Bunbury was 300. So the total came with the rest of Australia, with WA, to 5,866 people. That's estimated. Now London had 2.5 million. So you can imagine the isolation of Western Australia in those days for these girls to come. We then carried on to immortalise these by telling the story through the use of our artefact, a travel box, which you can see over here. And this is to recognise the journey that these women came and what they had to carry. Now, our first travel box was sent to York, West Australia, on the 8th of May 2016, in memory of Mary Ann Taylor from County Galway. Young Bill over there is a descendant, and he's written, Bill Marwick, he's written a book, which is very interesting, and that gave us a very good insight into the beginning of these ideas. Then we went to Bunbury, Dardanup, and Geraldton, and we presented boxes there too. Then, of course, in October 2017, An Gorta Mór Memorial was dedicated by the President of Ireland, His Excellency Michael D. Higgins. And he came and opened this here, which was a great day for us because we never thought we'd get this far. We had good ambitions, but it got bigger. Then, of course, COVID came and put a damper on a lot of things. So we're now going forward again, and this is where Caroline Smith, which Tom just mentioned, is going to say a few words about the future for ourselves. But this all started from just an idea in 2016. Caroline, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just wanted a little bit about a project which is really just, I think, another stage along the road of what's already been commemorated here, and which we just heard about in terms of the monument itself, the travel boxes that have been presented, not just here, not just to the Subiaco City Council, but also that have been presented in various towns down south as well, because these boxes really in many ways represent the ways in which the young women who have come from Ireland to Western Australia played a really, really important role in the various towns and different parts of what was then the Swan River Colony and Western Australia. Essentially, my starting point is that last year around July, Fred, who I've known for a while through the Irish scene, asked me if I would be interested in doing some research to gather essentially an online archive about these women's stories, because there isn't actually an archive at the moment that collates all of these. There actually have been books written about them. Bill Marwick has written a book. We've also got Erika Erickson's The Brideships as well. So the stories have been told, but there's nothing online that really collates this information. And there is, in fact, an archive in Sydney which commemorates the women who came over to the eastern states from Ireland. But there is a need for us to do something here. Also because the story of the women who came to Western Australia is a little bit different, because they came a little bit later. They started in 1852-53, and they continued to come to the Swan River Colony well into the 1880s as well. So there's a long, long history. And also they went, some of them stayed in Perth, some of them went down south to other parts of WA, and some of them even went to the eastern states as well, because there were various gold rushes happening at the time as well. But my starting point has been looking at what exists with the Sydney archive, and essentially it's also been created by people who are connected to their Irish Famine Commemoration as well. But it collates general information, background information on the famine, so that anyone who doesn't know the history can come and actually find out. It has a number of maps showing where young women came from in Ireland to the eastern states of Australia. And most crucially, it's basically a database of information about these girls, their names. This information can be searched either if you know their name, but also if you just know the ship that they were on. So there are various different ways in which people can come to the Sydney archive and find this information online. And what we want to do here is create something similar, so that people who know perhaps a little bit about their family members or ancestors, or perhaps people who don't know anything about it, can come and find out who were these girls, where did they go when they came here, what towns did they come from in Ireland, or villages. And of course, we also need information about their general background in terms of the orphanages and the workhouses that they came from, the conditions there. And so there's a lot of information about them individually, and also about the historical context of the famine and what was actually happening in Ireland at the time, and also the schemes that allowed them to come here. But essentially we're working towards creating this database and this website, and so we've contacted some people about actually creating the website itself. But I'm at the stage of gathering some information from the Batty Library, the State Library. There are a number of sources, particularly newspaper sources as well. And of course, we've got here in WA also a really important story in relation to how these women were connected to the Fenians as well, and John Boyle O'Reilly. So essentially the West Australian story, the Irish West Australian story, is quite a unique one. And it's going to be really exciting. I'm actually really looking forward to doing it, because everything that I've read about these women so far, Bridget Mulqueen, and just these are women who have contributed a great deal to the communities that they went to in Western Australia. They've actually added a great deal, but at the same time they've come from this very difficult background, and I think it's really it's essential that, because there isn't something like this, that we actually do record this information. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Caroline. And look, if anyone wants further information or wants to get involved in the project, please get in touch with myself or Fred or any members of the committee, and we'll make it as successful project as we can. And Caroline, as you've heard there, is doing some fantastic work in keeping those girls' stories alive. So thank you for that, Caroline, and Jim for your speech. Now, next we're going to have the laying of the wreaths, and to lay the wreaths at the Famine Memorial, we have two very special and valued members of the Irish community. They have been here for a while. I'm not going to say how long, but they have made a brilliant impact, mainly through what I know of them through the realm of broadcasting, through Celtic Rambles, but they have also been immersed in other areas of Irish culture, such as putting on the Sense of Ireland concert when President Higgins was here, and before that too, but in general being huge advocates for Irish arts and culture in general in Perth. So they're returning back to Ireland. They will be missed. I know there was a farewell for them yesterday, but they travel back to Ireland with our best wishes, and don't be strangers. But I know they're moving back to the best county in Ireland, in County Clare. So I'm sure they'll have no trouble settling in. But to lay the wreaths, can I call on Frank Murphy and Jerry Grogan. Thank you, Frank and Jerry, and thank you for your service and contribution to the Irish community over a long number of years. Now, we're going to have 3 poems for the next part of the event. Frank Murphy is going to come up first, and he's going to read The Mother Stumbled, followed by Heather Henderson, who will read Give Me 3 Grains of Corn, Mother, and Olivia Duffy, who will read her own poem called The Irish One / On dearmad.
Just before I do, could I add a little tiny thing I didn't know I'd had a chance to say? I've got to let you share in this one. There's a brilliant book by Cathal Gunn called Famine Echoes. And in Famine Echoes, he makes the point that because so many people did not have the English language, a lot of the reportage came from the other side, as it were. We can call it the biased side or the non-objective side, but very little still came from the people who hadn't the literary and the oral skills to do it. One man with the Folklore Commission went around in 1923 to find out any traces of grandchildren, and he did. And this particular story stands out to me, which is now in the bookstore of thousands of books on the way to Ireland. It's taken from a man who in Skibbereen, I don't remember his name, was lying there. And when they came upon him, he said, I'm starving. But the picture of the Jesus Christ I had on the wall, I ate it to give me life. That is such a profound experience, that somebody got those words of something that actually happened, which segues me, hopefully, onto The Mother Who Stumbled, An Gorta Mór by Peter Murphy. Thank you, Peter. She stumbled, child on breast, another at her feet, legs skinny, stomach bloated, eye sunken, lips parched. She stumbled beneath her feet, grass torn to shreds, mouths all round stained green, silent as mist o'er the Irish meadow. She stumbled on the quay, Coffin ships beckon to a foreign land where hunger's no more. She stumbled from deck a shimmer, neither land nor ocean wide, but human shapes lay forth like stepping stones. She stumbled as bark sways along skeleton way across a crimson sea, further than albatross fly. She stumbled, ocean spray o'er her face, worn too proud for sympathy, with grim faces, with sad eyes, stare hard, stare at her scrawny frame. She stumbled down gangway, skinny neck strained. Her face is familiar, our arms outstretched to bosom safe. She stumbled, child on breast, another at her feet, to where God only knows. She stumbled, but dare not fall. Thank you. Got a meal out of you. Slán before. Slán can I be do.
Three grains of corn. Give me 3 grains of corn, mother. Only 3 grains of corn. 'Twill keep what little life I have till the coming of the morn. For I am dying of hunger and cold, mother, dying of hunger and cold, and the agony of such a death my lips have never told. Oh, what has old Ireland done, mother? What has old Ireland done, that the world looks on and sees them starve, perishing one by one? There is many a brave heart, mother, that is dying of hunger and cold, while only across the channel, mother, thousands are rolling their gold. Oh, how can I look to you, mother? How can I look to you for bread to feed your starving child, while you are starving too? I dreamed of bread in my sleep, mother. The sight was heaven to see. I awoke with an eager and famishing lip, and you had no bread for me.
Just in honour of all those victims of the famine, I'd like to dedicate this poem to them. They will never be forgotten. The Irish one, on Turnach. Is misha era, Lean an Crádúra, far Kigalchuk an Gorta Glas, in Irhaturum, Luscla Macra, Jarg la Dusta, Acrisium, Janum Quivna, is misha era. Is me Ruska an Coppel Bon, Cosan Arja an Gusta Tir. Is misha era, in Evenis an Cucabura, ag Scutal Cian na Gunagruma. Is misha era, in Snabani, in Snashnahana Fullan la Calamid, in Aintis an Aig an Chilla, like Dulfree na Graina. Nosna Chintri Rev Lojok, ni Jeg is the Shejeg, Musclia Midge na Lastraca, na Macri Shaw is na Tolliver Fad, go Gwivnian Midge, Gurb Mudja era. Era lum, unum, Casa Timple lum. Is me na Snatini a Taig Bilga, a Harnian Phil on Chinashin, on Gwaelshin. Is Mudja era, Dusta Jarg, Dulfui na Graina, sa Tolliv Shaw Fuin down. The heartache, tears, as the lush green fields of tickling grass fade away into the arid, scorched earths of the red dust plains. I rekindle, I remember, I am Ireland. I am the pounding of the white horse that gallops the west coast. I am Ireland in the delight of the kookaburra laughing over the gum tree tops. I am Ireland in the bonds and threads that sew us together in unity against the fiery sunsets. Like the rebellious fires of 1916, we fan the flames on these plains and all lands, never to forget we are Ireland. Ireland with me, within me. We are Ireland, on the red dust, in the sun, settling this world down under. Gurmíl Mógah.
Now, thank you very much, Frank, Heather and Olivia, and that was beautifully read 3 poems. Now we'd like to invite people to lay, if you have your own flowers, to lay them at the memorial. We will be handing out a bit of rosemary here beside me, but if you have your own flowers, you're more than welcome to lay that as well. And we'd also invite you to walk around the memorial saying the prayer and take a minute or two just to reflect.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming today. But I would like to thank Tom Murphy for as a MC. He's been doing it now for since nearly 7 years, so he's getting used to it. So I'd like to thank him again for his great effort. Thank you, Tom.
Hi guys, just before we finish up, thank you as always to the committee for asking me to MC, and I'm delighted to be a part. An email from the Irish Embassy in Canberra during the week asking us we would consider being part of what's called the Global Irish Famine Way. This is a building on the Irish Famine Way from Strokestown in County Roscommon to the National Famine Museum in Dublin, and it builds on that way, and the idea is that a pair of bronze shoes are going to be erected beside the memorial here, and this will bring the memorial in Perth, the memorial in Sydney, in Tasmania, in the UK, South Africa. Canada already has a memorial, the bronze shoes, so we're going to be setting up a committee, but if anyone would like to be part of that, please do get in contact with us. And just finally, we'd invite you all back to the Irish Club, where there are some snacks and some drinks and a bit of music with Tommy O'Brien. And we thank Tommy for that. So look, on behalf of myself and the committee and little Maeve here, thank you very much for everyone who came out to the 7th annual commemoration. We really appreciate your support for us each year in commemorating the girls and making the journey to escape the horrors of Gorta Mór. So well done everybody, and thank you very much. Gura míle maith agat.